Namaste and welcome to HinduLounge. This is HinduLounge. HinduLounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. It is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America or VHPA. I'm Ajay Shah. I am the president of World Hindu Council of America. With me, as always, is Sudha Jagannathan. Sudha, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here. And today we are starting on a somewhat somber note because you know that Hindus are being under attack in Bangladesh. So I've asked two special guests to join us from Bangladesh and also two of our colleagues from Hindu Pact who are joining us today. So let me bring them online first, and I'll give you an opportunity to welcome them as I bring them on. So first is Deepti Mahajan. She is the co-convener of Hindu Pact. Dipti ji, you are online. You can turn on your video. Here you are. So Dipti is the co-convener of Hindu Pact, and also she leads the Chingari project. And also with us is a remarkable Hindu activist who's a student at Stanford, has been intern with Hindu Pact, but in his own right, he's a really good Hindu advocate and a Hindu leader. Rutvij Hole. Rutvij joins us also from the Bay Area. Welcome, Rutvij. So, and Rutuj, why don't we invite the other two guests as you introduce them? I'll bring them online, and then we'll start with a small prayer for the people who are in Bangladesh right now, who are being under attack for merely for being Hindus. So, welcome, and Sudha. After the prayer, please say your introduction remark and the introductory remarks, and then we will start the show. So, Rutuj, go ahead and introduce the two guests that we have one at a time, and I'll bring them online.
Are both of them backstage?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes, namaste everyone. My name is Rutvej. I am a director of partnerships over at Hindu Pact. And we have two guests with us today, one of whom is joining from Bharat, and the other one who is joining us directly from Bangladesh. He has risked his life today to be able to come and speak with us and tell us about what is happening. So the first person I'll bring on is Rick Bandopadhyay. He is a northeastern Hindu leader who has been directly working to help the Hindus in Bangladesh and to spread the news of what goes on in Bangladesh and Northeast India to the whole world. So Rickji, please, if we can bring him on.
Yeah, he's on.
Okay. The
His
second
videos
person,
videos off, but he's on.
yes, I forgot to mention, for his anonymity, because his life is a threat, we have decided to keep his video off for his own protection. So that is the first one. Onbeshi, he is a Bengali Hindu leader. He is located in Dhaka, originally from a village in a place called Shariatpur district. He is the leader of Shobai Shobar, a Bangladeshi human rights organization that works to help poor Bangladeshis be able to uplift their lives and to be able to have a better quality of life. He's faced a lot of attacks ever since these protests started. And so we bring him on today to be able to tell us what the situation is like on the ground. Anbeshi, namaskar.
And Rutuj, you want to start with a small prayer.
Yes. Start
Namaste,
with a small
welcome.
prayer. Anbeshi, আমি একটু প্রার্থনা করব। ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
Yeah.
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
Namaste. Thank you, Rutuj. And over to you, Sudha.
Hey, namaste everybody, and welcome to the Hindu Lounge. This is, as Ajay mentioned earlier, very somber occasion. Um, Things are upside down in the country of Bangladesh. What started off as a political regime change quickly turned into a horrific abuse of the minority Hindus, And as Bangladeshi Hindus are struggling for their lives in the country of their ancestors, of their own birth, I have to say the world is silent, and that is not acceptable. It makes my heart feel so heavy just to see that this plight is ignored. How can anybody ignore what is happening in Bangladesh? This is not first time. Our community, the Hindu community in Bangladesh, has suffered tremendously over the years. And since 1971, the biggest genocide that nobody knows about, we have to change that, friends, here. We have to change that and make it recognized as a global genocide. Now we don't we want to talk about this because we want Americans, Hindus in America, non-Hindus, and everybody in America to learn about what is going on. So the two members who have joined us from faraway lands, with their lives at risk, we do namaste to them. But we want to hear them, and we want their voices to be heard across this continent. So that's my opening.
Thank you, Sudha. Dipti, some remarks for you, and then I'll turn it over to Rutvij.
Thank you, Ajibhai. Thank you so much for doing a Hindu lounge on this grim topic, like Sudaji was mentioning. I second everything that Sujaji said, and it's a very sad day or sad week that we are in right now, looking at what our fellow Hindus are suffering in Bangladesh, and we are sitting on a ticking genocide that is happening right now in front of our eyes, and very sad that Western media and people are oblivious to what is happening and not talking about this. uh, and it's a right time to introduce our guests today and see what they have to say, and I pray that their lives are safe and nothing bad happens to them. So thank you so much for our guest to be on today. Thank you, Ajay.
Rutvij, over to you.
Yes.
And
So
you, while you're after your couple of minutes after your introduction, please also introduce our guests. Oh, you
yes,
already did. You
I
already
did,
did.
but
Yeah, bring
I
them
will
on, and then
mention.
we can start conversation. I mean,
Yes.
that's what I meant.
On
Yeah.
I'll mention on Anumesh, he has a network issue right now. As I mentioned, he's going to, for our viewers, he will intermittently be on and off just because of the network problems that are happening in Bangladesh right now. So please do be patient with us during this time. In the meantime, what I do want to say is I've been working with him for a while, as I've been working with the Bangladeshi Hindu community. And I can tell you one thing: this is not some sort of attack, as people try to whitewash in the future, that is just a small amount of Muslims that have had, lost control. This is very clearly a pre-planned attack that has taken place by Jamaat-e-Islami. The reason we know this is because a few days before, when Sheikh Hasina was still in power, Hindu, one very brave Hindu, I can't say his name, one very brave Hindu in the Director General Force Intelligence sent a message to Anweshji noting that they had found out that Jamaat-e-Islami had already made a list of temples to attack, a list of Hindu leaders to kill, and a list of girls to rape. They had everything ready, and this was the moment they chose to strike. In other words, right now, what Hindus are facing has been planned to be a genocide on the scale of 1971. We need to understand what's going on and we need to fight it. And so, with that,
So let me go back in. Thank you, Rutvij. Let me
yeah,
go back in history for those who may need some context of
please go
1971.
ahead.
So 1971 was the war of independence for Bangladesh. Bangladesh, as many people know on this who are watching us today, Bangladesh was at one time part of Pakistan. It was called East Pakistan, and East Pakistan was suffering unspeakable atrocities as part of Pakistan. Now, that is not, if you really want to go back in 1947 when India became independent, uh, West Bengal and East Bengal, both were the places where Hindus were mercilessly persecuted, murdered, killed, raped, and in a very bad. They went through a really bad time, and uh, that party, the partition of India, brought untold atrocities on Hindus in Bengal. Now, fast forward a few years, and the West Pakistanis, which is today's Pakistan, their forces persecuted the Bengalis, including including Hindus, but especially Hindus. The estimates are that 3 million Hindus were killed when uh, Pakistani army started taking its revenge on Bengalis. They specially singled out Hindus, and the number of people, and we as HinduNet, we actually had several petitions last year, actually, or year before last, to Congress declaring 1971 killing of Hindus as a genocide. So this is a long there is a long history of killing and persecution of Bengalis or Bengali Hindus in Bengal. In 1971, in addition to 3 million Hindus that were raped, million are killed, hundreds of thousands were raped, millions fled to India, stayed in India till Bangladesh became independent. The architect of this Bangladeshi independence was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Mujibur Rahman was now fast forward today. Mujibur Rahman was the former prime minister, now the former prime minister Sheikh Hasina's father. Mu- He was, um, he was a leader who was called Bangabandhu because he was the one who engineered, in many ways, the independence of Bangladesh. He was now perceived to be very close to India. He was perceived to be very close to India, and therefore Sheikh Hasina was considered to be very close to India. And that is why now that one of the reasons why you see a lot of uh, India Hindus being persecuted is because they think that these Hindus are pro India. But it would be a mistake to say that that is the only reason or the real reason why Hindus are being persecuted there. There's been a as I as I narrated, the history from 1947 and 1971 and today shows that the Islamists who who are about 85%, now close to 90% of the population, want to cleanse Bangladesh of Hindus, just like Pakistan has cleansed its Hindu population. So it is in many ways an unfinished agenda from their perspective of independence. They wanted entire Bengal, east and west, cleansed of Hindus. And these are nothing but steps that are going towards cleansing Bengal of all Hindus. So with that, please feel free to jump in. Whoever wants to jump in from this group.
Do we have our guest, Rutvich,
Uh,
available?
he
Or they're
should
still?
be. Anveshi,
Yeah.
I believe, had network issues. Is Rikshi on? Can you
Oh
put
yeah, Anvesh is back.
Anveshi? Perfect. Yes. So, do we want to just start off by asking some questions to Anveshi and then go from there? Let him give some more details.
Can he speak?
অন্বেষী, আপনি কেমন আছেন? আপনার পরিবার কেমন আছেন?
সকলকে নমস্কার। ওম সর্বে মঙ্গলম মঙ্গলম বরদম বরদম শুভম নারায়ণ নমস্কৃতম সর্বকর্মাণি কারয়। আমরা এখানে খুব বেশি ভালো নেই। আসলে আমরা শারীরিকভাবে আমি এখন পর্যন্ত সুস্থ, কিন্তু মানসিকভাবে আমরা মানে খুবই বিপর্যস্ত এবং আমরা মানে খুব সাফারের সাথে এখানে বাস করতেছি।
So what he's saying, অন্বেষী একটু মিনিট আমি অনুবাদ করব। What he's saying right now is he first gave a very beautiful prayer. He asked for the health and safety of everyone. After that, he's telling us that even though right now he is physically safe, mentally he is feeling a lot of anguish. He's feeling very tormented. His mental state is not good right now because of everything that's gone. অন্বেষী, বেশি বলুন।
এবং বর্তমান বাংলাদেশের পরিস্থিতি সম্পর্কে যদি আমরা মানে আলোচনা শুরু করি, তাহলে সেক্ষেত্রে আপনারা জানেন যে বাংলাদেশের পরিস্থিতি শুধুমাত্র আজকেই না, বাংলাদেশের এই সংখ্যালঘুদের নির্যাতনের যে ইতিহাস, এটি একটি দীর্ঘ ইতিহাস, দীর্ঘ 75 ইয়ার্সের একটি ইতিহাস। সে 1947 সাল থেকে শুরু করে এখন পর্যন্ত বাংলাদেশে প্রতিনিয়ত এটা মানে যে কোনো কোথাও মানে থামে এরকমটা না, এটা প্রতিনিয়ত চলমান। বিভিন্নভাবে বাংলাদেশের হিন্দুদেরকে সেই ৭৫ বছর ধরে তারা নির্যাতন স্বীকার করে আসছে এবং এটা দিনে দিনে মাত্রাতিরিক্ত কষ্ট এবং বেদনা আমাদেরকে দিচ্ছে।
অন্বেষী একটু মিনিট অনুবাদ করবো। So what he's saying, and Ajay, if you have a question, I'll let you ask in a second.
Yeah.
What he's saying right now is that in Bangladesh's history of 75 years, I believe it's counting, ever since the territory became known as East Pakistan and later gained independence and became Bangladesh in 1971. In that time, Hindus, ever since partition, have had to face a lot of difficulties in that long history. All of their complaints, all of the voices, all of their screams have gone unheard, and it has been a terrible condition for them. Anubeshi, আমি সঠিক বলছি? Huh?
So,
হ্যাঁ,
Rutuj, I have a question. Is he, are there going to be repercussions of him appearing on this show and talking here? And, what is this, what is his family members, for example, saying about him being so vocal and brave in expressing his views internationally?
Okay, so অন্বেষী কি আছে? এখন বাংলাদেশে আপনি আমার হিন্দু জনের একটা বীর আছে। আমার আপনার বীরতা আমার জন্যও একটু প্রেরণা আছে, কিন্তু আপনার 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 মাতা, আপনার পিতা, আপনার পরিবার তে আপনার কাজের সম্পর্কিত কি মনে করে?
মানে ভ্লাদিমির জি, আপনি আমাকে একটু বিষয়টা আরো ক্লিয়ারলি খুলে বলবেন?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, বলুন।
উনি বলতে চাইছেন,
ইয়েস,
আহ,
রিচি
উনি উনি বল- উনি বলতে চাইছেন যে আপনাদের এই যে পরিস্থিতি বাংলাদেশে, এখানে তো জীবন সংশয় আছে আপনার। তো সেই পরিস্থিতিতে আপনার পরিবার পরিজন, আপনি যে এই কাজ করছেন হিন্দুদের জন্য, সেটা নিয়ে তারা কি ভাবছেন, তাদের মনোভাব কি?
আচ্ছা, এখানে যেটা আমাদের পরিবারের যে ভাবনা, আসলে আমরা তো সবাই সাফার করতেছি এখানে। আমাদের পরিবার মানে তারা এখন মানে আমরা যদি এখন মানে হিন্দুদেরকে সহায়তা না করি এবং হিন্দুদের জন্য আমরা যদি ঝাঁপায় না পড়ি, তাহলে তো আমি কেন, আমার পরিবার, আমার মানে আত্মীয় স্বজন, আমার এলাকাবাসী, আমার এই জাতীয়, আমার আমার এই স্বজাতীয়রা কেউই বাঁচবে না। সবাই আস্তে আস্তে এই যেভাবে নিধন হচ্ছে, এভাবেই মূলত মানে সবাই মরে যাবে। কাজেই আমাদের পরিবার থেকে আমাদেরকে বলা হচ্ছে, তোমরা যেভাবেই পারো তোমাদের নিজেদেরকে রক্ষা করো। কারণ আমাদের পরিবারের তো, আমার বাবার বয়স প্রায় 70 ইয়ার্স ওল্ড, সুতরাং সে তো তার জীবদ্দশায় কখনো মানে এই শান্তি পায় নাই, বরঞ্চ নানান ধরনের বঞ্চনা, যাতনা, অত্যাচার, নির্যাতনের শিকার তারা সবসময় হয়েছে। আমরা তাদের আশীর্বাদ এবং তাদের মনোবল নিয়ে আমরা এই হিন্দুদেরকে রক্ষা করার জন্য, এই সংখ্যালঘু সম্প্রদায়কে রক্ষা করার জন্য আমরা কাজ করে যাচ্ছি। তাদের আশীর্বাদ আমাদের সাথে আছে, তাদের মনোবল আমাদের সাথে আছে। ভ্লাদিমির জি।
He's
Yeah, go ahead, Rutuj.
He's saying, yeah, he's saying that his parents and every one of his elders have given them his blessing, and not just his parents. Every single parent of Bangladesh, Hindu parent of Bangladesh, has given their blessings to their children to do whatever it is needed to survive. In short, they do not have the luxury to consider whether they want to act now or not. Like Anveshji's father has been 70 years old, and throughout his life, he has seen a long process of bloodletting, massacres, murders, betrayal, deceit, and discrimination, abuse of women, abuse of children, all forms of horrible crimes. And to be honest, Bangladesh has invented few unique crimes against humanity on their own, which we can come to it later. So, in this situation, if people do not act out and try to survive using all their capacity and capability, there will be no future for the 2500-year-old Bengali culture in its own homeland. So, in this situation, his parents have he has his parents' full support, and he will try his best to do what he can.
So one question.
I really admire his parents, and I cannot, compliment enough for their for their bravery, because it is a very tough situation over there.
Yeah. So one question, Ajay ji, if it's okay, I'll ask.
Yeah,
অন্বেষী, what I heard, আমি বাংলা ভাষায় অনুবাদ করব, but what we have heard is that the Bangladeshi military has given out phone numbers to say that they are helping Hindus and that Hindus are apparently safe. That's what we read on Twitter. Can you confirm or deny this? আমরা শুনেছি কি বাংলা সেনা এখন হিন্দু জনের সাহায্য করছে। আপনি শুনেছি কি যদি আপনি একটা নম্বরকে কল করেন, বাংলা সেনা আপনার সাহায্য করবে। এত সত্য অসত্য আছে? অন্বেষী?
না,
I think we may
এখন পর্যন্ত
we may be having some intermittent. Bangladesh internet connection is somewhat shaky, so we might be having some intermittent. As you mentioned earlier, there might be some internet issues in Bangladesh.
How
So
about
please,
we ask Vladimir Ji
yeah,
for his
please go ahead,
perspectives?
Sudhar, please,
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Regarding the army thing, we have to understand that the nature of the Bangladesh army is pretty different than that of professional armies you see in US or Bharat. The Bangladesh army has a small professional core around 25 to 30%, which is designed to fight conventional warfare. The rest of the army is basically built out of elements which are highly radicalized and which are extremely non-professional, to say the least. This, and apart from the main army, there are also huge amounts of subsidiary forces, which is equivalent to Bharatiya Central Armed Police Forces, you can say that, like Ansar and other special forces. These forces have been notorious for doing all sorts of abuses, like uh, can I talk freely, like all kinds of things, like, okay, fine, like mass gang rapes, torture, unusual torture of women, all forms of physical and mental, mass murders, massacres, in civil dress, carrying military weapons along with the goons right from the day one of formation of Bangladesh nearly. So this is one thing. So they have a very bad history of there. So this thing, army corps, these subsidiary elements are forming the majority of the protection forces. First thing, Bangladeshi Hindu population is scattered remotely along the villages. So these villages, there are not stable camps. One of the first demands which every Bangladeshi Hindu activist is making is that give stable camps, even if it is 5 men in each village. And the government is categorically, military and government are both categorically denying, no, we won't give you that. The phone numbers which they are trying to contact, 90% of the time it is not working. And by the way, one fact, 1971 is not the biggest mass murder in Bangladesh, nowhere near. 1949 to 51 alone, more than 45 lakh Hindus were displaced and more than 5 lakh Hindus were murdered. So that itself takes the cake. Bangladesh, if you see, it's one of the only country to create an ecosystem for genocide and make people vanish literally. There is even sayings about people telling that, where have all gone? This is a literally saying there, Tara kothay gelo. Literally people say like that. So this kind of thing, Bangladesh, literally the Hindu population of in the 20%, how it got reduced to 7%. If you see population, crores of Hindus have simply disappeared. The genocide in Bangladesh has never stopped. It has gone continuously. So now coming back to the army factor. The armies, if you see, the phone numbers, 90% of the time, if they're hearing the voices, mostly they and hearing Hindus coming, suspect it's a Hindu, they are not. They're disconnecting the call. Many times they're not picking up. Even if you know army personnel, they're coming late. And they're coming and they're humiliating people. They're calling them horribly abusive and racist slangs like Malaun, Kafir. They are they are telling that nothing is there. They're harassing the army. They're even giving incentives for conversion in many of the remote villages of these districts. for security. The army is going around, not the main core professional army, but these subsidiary elements, they are going around and trying to uh, convert Hindus while being in uniform. So this is the condition.
Um,
A few years
Deepti, go
ago,
ahead.
about
You want to ask? Go ahead. Someone go. Yeah, go ahead, please.
let's Deepthi ask. Go ahead, Deepthi.
So my heart goes out, Lazmirji, to everything that is happening there right now. I have two questions. Is from an action perspective, what can the Hindus sitting outside Bangladesh, especially in the Western countries, what can we do? What kind of action is going to make any difference, even the 1% difference, to the Hindus in Bangladesh? And my second question is, are the Hindus able to get out from there in any shape or form? Like, is there any help or anything that they can do to get out of this place?
First thing what the Hindus throughout the world can do is pressurize the Indian government to make a clear decision. Either you seal the entire border and pressurize the Bangladesh government and create safe passages or safe corridors or safe zones for the Hindu population there where they can stay together with proper security, or you create monitored zones through where Hindus can enter. Now, problem is currently Hindus are desperately trying to live and concentrate together, but they are not being allowed to. Every single Hindu house is being put under surveillance. It is being monitored, and the military and the most of the security personnel and Jamaat people, they are ensuring that Hindu population remains isolated. They are not able to contact together. This internet connection on and off, all of it is not due to natural causes. Most of it is also manipulated. Now, coming into this thing, when we are coming into this kind of situations, we have first thing what they are doing is there has been a systematic attempt of kidnapping Hindu women and girls. There are regular attempts of this, and systematically every night people all across there. We all know about the burning of villages, burning of properties, beating up of people. This is one thing which is going on. Second thing, what they're trying to do, Ansar death squads are roaming every lane and every by lane, and it is better to die rather than falling into their hand alive, and that is putting it in a very polite way. Second thing, the Jamaat death squad, different Islamic, like the what to say, Badarul League and other people, they have gone out. They have put out different hit lists also. So these kind of things are going on. And then we have the army, which has actually taken, basically, if you consider in Indian terms or in American terms, which has rebelled against its own people and has basically created an impenetrable system of roadblocks, and they're firing blindly for any movement. Even they're trying to provoke the BSF in the international border India by firing randomly. So in this condition, unless you have very good contacts and a lot of money, it is very difficult to come out in properly with all your facilities intact. Even under this condition, a large number of Hindu population, Koch, Rajbongshi, these people managed to reach the West Bengal Jalpaiguri border. But the Indian government's behavior, unfortunately, is almost like the Nehru government of 1952. They have blocked. They did not allow any of the Hindus there. And when the Hindus which were there, they were threatened and they were dispersed. There are some videos circulating in there in social media. I would write maybe in detail also tomorrow. It's a very heartbreaking sight, seeing people go like that. So in this case, the first thing we can ask for is clarity in decision. Either you protect Hindus by making a select portion of Bangladesh as a safe zone, untwist Bangladesh into it, or you create safe corridors and passages to the Indian embassy and open it. And also, yes, the Indian embassies all are closed for in till the indefinite future within inverted commas. So nobody is defining what is the indefinite future. So people who are trying to get into India also, they have no legal way of going into it. So either you create a legal way by going through embassies and create some channels, or you allow a monitoring system with a buffer zone somewhere in India border zone where people can stay there in safety at least for some time, or you have to ensure that there is enough pressure and monitoring on Bangladesh that Bangladesh does its job. Either of the three. Currently, the Indian government policy, unfortunately, is not going that. And there is the biggest part which the diaspora and any Hindus worldwide can play. We can basically, lot of pressure is needed on the government. Second thing which we can help is
So
the
let me
financial
interject
matter.
before you go too far. I just want to interject and ask this question. One of the things that it's very hard in many ways for people who are sitting outside of India to be pressurizing Indian government. I think maybe you can point to what Hindus who are sitting in our case, we are sitting in America. What can we do in American context with the American government in order to help the Hindus in Bangladesh? Because we obviously, because we are American, most of us are American citizens. We are going to have much more influence in America with the American politicians than with India and Indian politicians. So
That
can you talk
sure.
about what you can do with the American government and not as much about the Indian government? Because it's natural, right? We are voters here, so we can do a lot more with our politicians.
Sure. First thing which you can do, the most effective thing which would be, there are lots of documentation present right now. There are videos circulating all over of horrible persecutions. At least share them with your politicians and demand them for security of minorities. I think America, the minority politics is taking a lot of, what to say, it has a lot of takers in the political circles. So if you request that itself for long enough, it will help a lot.
Okay.
Now,
Yet
second,
only that, Vladimir ji, I want to say all the Hindu organizations have sent out about 50,000 emails in just 24 hours, kind of thing. We'll continue that pressure. We want our lawmakers to speak out against what's happening. So far, we haven't heard many people talk about it. U.S. government White House press release has been about cautioning the Bangladesh government or the military to be to be careful about the situation. But nobody has called out atrocities on minorities, particularly the Hindu minority. That is what we are trying to change. And my question to you is, this interim PM, Mr. Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel Prize winner, um, I believe he has great relationship with America. I'm hoping the U.S. through the pressure from our community uh, can be made to recognize the atrocities on Hindus to date since the fifth or the fourth, the when the PM Hasina left, to continuing to today. I think we can definitely try to do that. But what do you think with this interim PM? Is that going to make any difference at all?
uh, the government structure and the way the ministry is being formed, not just the interim PM, it has almost become an open secret. So basically, we can form a very good idea about what kind of a cabinet is it is going, and it is a extremely bleak future because many of the people, the strong creamy layer people, have given public statements like in an ideal Islamic country, Hindus should not be afforded even a drop of water. So, any hope of government assistance or compensation, every Hindu organization has given up. Compensation or aid is not even being talked about. That kind of a government is going in. And Muhammad Yunus he may be a Nobel winner, but all we need to go is see what he says about Hindus and other Yahud and Hanud particularly. It is a potent mixture of xenophobia and outright what we call in Hindi as Videsh. I am forgetting the exact word in English for it. Videsh. It is full of it. So it is a pretty bleak future. Khalida Zia and BNP will never come. It is very unlikely, I have always told, because they are too China friendly. But the one which is coming, it is very Maulana centric, very incompetent government, one whose strings can be pulled from outside very easily, and it is purely done as a puppet which can be controlled easily. Welfare of minorities or welfare of the people of Bangladesh as a whole is one of whoever is setting this government is not among the top criteria of this.
That is so scary to hear. So scary that in this day and age, we are going to have another Islamic state like a Taliban that exterminates all minority and abuses its own people. It's unbelievable. But thank you for sharing. I think we need to let our lawmakers know about this, and we'll definitely work on it.
So one question very quickly, Sudachi, and one comment. I just got a message from Anveshi. Yes, he says that it seems network throughout the whole country has gone down once more. So we'll
He
have
is
to.
online again, so we
Oh,
just brought him
perfect.
out and
Okay.
back again.
Yes. That being said, we had one question for you that from the US, one of the things we've been discussing is how exactly we can help, right? Whether we can't deal with the Indian government here. But from the US end, if the US was to send observers, diplomatic observers into Bangladesh to make sure that with this new interim government, religious minorities are all being treated equally, that they're all safe, do you think the Bangladeshi community would appreciate that? Is it something that's a good use of our time? Or is there some other goal or objective we should be focusing on?
Who is this question for, Ritwik?
Um, Vladimir ji, Anvesh ji, if he's on.
Yeah, he's on. You may want to translate to Bengali.
Yeah,
So,
Anvesh ji, আপনি শুনতে পারেন?
হ্যাঁ, আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
ওকে, ঠিক আছে। তাই আমরা প্রশ্ন কি আছে কি আমরা আমেরিকা থেকে বাংলাদেশি হিন্দুর জন্য কি করতে পারবেন? কি করতে পারি? যদি আমরা আমেরিকান সরকারের সাথে তাকে বলি বলি কি আপনি ডিপ্লোম্যাটিক অবজারভার্স বাংলাদেশকে পাঠাবো রিলিজিয়াস মাইনরিটিদের সুরক্ষিত দেখতে। আপনি কি মনে করেন এত আপনার জন্য ভালো হবে বা কি অন্য উপায় আছে আপনার মনে?
বর্তমানে আমি গতকালকে রাত 12টা পর্যন্ত আমি ভিডিও কল ছাড়াই কথা বলতেছি, হ্যাঁ? কারণ এখানে ভিডিওতে খুব সমস্যা, নেটওয়ার্ক সমস্যা করতেছে।
হ্যাঁ, 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 ঠিক আছে। He said he's going to talk on audio just for network sake. But
yeah.
go on. হ্যাঁ, বলুন।
তো আহ, আমরা গতকালকে পর্যন্ত সারা দেশে আপনারা জানেন যে প্রায় অলরেডি প্রায় 56টি ডিস্ট্রিক্টে হামলা হয়েছে এবং 56টি ডিস্ট্রিক্টের প্রায় এখন পর্যন্ত খবর আশাবধি প্রায় 183টি অঞ্চলে হিন্দুদের প্রতি অ্যাটাক হয়েছে, তাদের বাড়িঘর ধ্বংস করা হয়েছে, তাদের ব্যবসা প্রতিষ্ঠানগুলোকে ভ্যানিলাইজড করে দেওয়া হয়েছে, তাদের মন্দিরগুলোকে ধ্বংস করছে এবং আমাদের প্রায় 50 জন প্লাস 50 প্লাস আমাদের বোনদের সংখ্যালঘু আমাদের সনাতন ধর্মাবলম্বী বোনদের তারা ঘর থেকে তুলে নিয়ে তারা ধর্ষণ করেছে। কাজেই এবং আজকে রাত্রেও এটার থেকেও মারাত্মক কিছু ঘটতে যাচ্ছে, কারণ এটা আমরা অনুমান করতে পারি, কারণ আজকে নেটওয়ার্ক খুব সমস্যা করতেছে। এটার মানে হলো যে মালয়েশিয়ার যে টেলিকমিউনিকেশন যে অধিদপ্তর আছে সেখান থেকে নেটওয়ার্ক দুর্বল করে দেওয়া হচ্ছে। তো এটার মানে হতে পারে যে বাংলাদেশে আরো ভয়াবহ কোনো কার্যক্রম পরিচালিত হবে। তো এই মুহূর্তে আমাদের যেটা প্রয়োজন এবং পাশাপাশি আমাদের প্রায় 300 প্লাস, মানে আজকে সকাল পর্যন্ত প্রায় 300 প্লাস সংখ্যালঘু আমাদের সনাতনী ভাই ও বোনেরা যাদেরকে বিভিন্ন স্থানে আহত করা হয়েছে, যাদেরকে পিটানো হয়েছে, তারা হসপিটালাইজড। এবং আমি এইরকমও তথ্য পেয়েছি যে বিভিন্ন হসপিটালে, বিভিন্ন সরকারি হসপিটালেও আমাদের ভাই বোনদেরকে হিন্দু বলে শুধুমাত্র হিন্দু পরিচয় দেওয়ায় তাদেরকে সেখানে ভর্তি করানো হয় নাই।
So, Anveshi, এক মিনিট আমি অনুবাদ করব। So,
হ্যাঁ,
just to give what he said, he basically talked about how in every single district of Bangladesh now, where before, just for some context, he told me on a call 2-3 days ago that luckily he was safe in his district. But in every district now, Hindus have been attacked. The mandirs have been attacked. Many of these houses have been attacked. 50 of his friends alone, more than 50 of his friends, sorry, have had to face some of these attacks. And now 300 people, 300, should take on Beshi?
হ্যাঁ 300, হ্যাঁ
300 people, perhaps even more, because these are only the reported cases. 300 people are right now hospitalized in government hospitals and they urgently need our help. So, Anveshi, bolun, apni আমরা কি সাহায্য দিতে পারি?
এখন আমাদের যেটা প্রয়োজন সেটা হলো এই ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হিন্দু ভাই বোনদেরকে তাদের প্রপার একটি ট্রিটমেন্টের জন্য আমাদের ব্যবস্থা নেওয়া, আমাদের তাদেরকে আর্থিক সহায়তা করা প্রয়োজন। যারা ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত, যাদের ব্যবসা প্রতিষ্ঠানকে ভেঙে মানে একদম পুড়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে, যাদের ঘরবাড়ি পুড়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে, তারা আজকে বাস্তুহীন, তারা ঘরবাড়ি, তাদের আর কোনো ঘরবাড়ি এখন আর নেই। কাজে এই সংখ্যালঘু সম্প্রদায়কে আমাদের মানে তাদের থাকার জায়গা ব্যবস্থা করে দেওয়া, এবং যাদের ব্যবসা প্রতিষ্ঠান ধ্বংস হয়ে গেছে, যারা মানে একদম নিঃস্ব হয়ে গেছে, তাদেরকে ব্যবসা প্রতিষ্ঠান পুনরায় শুরু করতে তাদেরকে আর্থিক সহায়তা করা। আমাদের প্রথম প্রয়োজন হলো আর্থিক সহায়তা। সেকেন্ড প্রয়োজন হলো আপনারা যদি পারেন তাহলে এই মুহূর্তে ডিপ্লোম্যাটিক যেটা আপনারা বলতেছেন ওটা এই মুহূর্তে বাংলাদেশে এখন কোনো সরকার নেই। বাংলাদেশে এখন পর্যন্ত কোনো সরকার গঠিত হয় নাই। এটা হবে আশা করি আগামীকালকে বোধহয় 8টার সময়, সন্ধ্যা 8টায়, বাংলাদেশ সময় সন্ধ্যা 8টায় অন্তর্বর্তীকালীন সরকারের শপথ গ্রহণের কথা আমরা ইতিমধ্যে শুনেছি। এরপরে যদি আপনারা পারেন মার্কিন যুক্তরাষ্ট্র থেকে সংখ্যালঘুদের নিরাপত্তা নিশ্চিতে কোনো এটা আমি আপনারা যেভাবে মনে করেন যে এটা করলে ভালো হবে, যে সংখ্যালঘুদের জন্য এই নতুন সরকারকে এই চাপ প্রয়োগ করা, যে সংখ্যালঘুদের নিরাপত্তা যাতে নিশ্চিত করা হয় এবং তাদেরকে যাতে নাগরিকের অধিকার এই বাংলাদেশে দেওয়া হয়। কারণ আমাদেরকে বর্তমানে বাংলাদেশে নাগরিকের অধিকার দেওয়া হচ্ছে না। আমরা বাংলাদেশে জন্মেছি, আমাদের বাংলাদেশের সবকিছু আছে, এখানের ভোটার আইডি কার্ড আমাদের আছে, আমরা ভোট দিতে সক্ষম, আমরা সবকিছু করতে সক্ষম, কিন্তু নাগরিকের যে মানবাধিকার এটা আমরা পাচ্ছি না।
Okay, so Anveshi, আমি অনুবাদ করব।
হ্যাঁ
Ajay ji, if I can just translate, then you can ask your
Yeah,
question.
please go ahead. Yeah.
So first of all, what he mentioned is that these 300 people, they desperately need treatment. And so if the Hindu community can help out with funds for the treatment anyway, that would be great, because right now the economic situation of Hindus in Bangladesh is terrible. Even though they're citizens, even though they may have a voter card, not certainly. Right now they really don't have any power because economically they're in a terrible position. So Anveshi, in the long term, what he wants to do is, right now, there's the short term of treatment, getting up diplomatic, awareness, being able to make sure that Hindus are protected with observers, whatnot, right? In the long term, he wants to be able to make sure that we build up the economic strength of Bangladeshis who are not going to be able to leave, to be able to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, to make sure that they have the resources to be able to protect themselves and protect their temples. That's the ask that is made. Onbeshi, ami Shutik bolchi.
So,
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Ajay ji and then Sudha ji.
sorry, I just have one. Go ahead, Sudha, if you have a follow on. Otherwise, I have a slightly different question. Go ahead.
I was just curious, even if things stabilize in Bangladesh with such animosity to the minority Hindus, how can we even expect a stabilization of the economy or their personal safety of the Hindus? Because it has to only can happen in a country that affirms its commitment to protection of minorities. And Bangladesh right now, I don't see how we can help with that. So my question is that how can we help with the stabilizing the Hindu community when they are going to be continuing to face terrible things in the next government?
So I think you're asking a very fundamental question to sum it up, is there any future for Hindus in Bangladesh, correct? So Anveshi, আপনি বলুন, বাংলাদেশে হিন্দু জনের কোনো ভবিষ্যৎ আছে?
এখন এটা আসলে কি, এটা আমাদের কর্ম পরিকল্পনার মাধ্যমে নিশ্চিত করতে হবে। বাংলাদেশ একটি হিন্দু অধ্যুষিত দেশ ছিল এক সময়, যেটা আমি আমার বক্তব্যের শুরুতে বলেছি যে 1947 সালে এই বাংলাদেশে 63% হিন্দু ছিল। বর্তমানে বাংলাদেশে মানে 2021 যে জনশুমারি হয়েছিল, জনগণনা, সেখানে মাত্র 7%। তারপরেই বাংলাদেশে বর্তমান যদি আমি সংখ্যা অনুপাতে বলি তাহলে প্রায় 20 মিলিয়ন হিন্দুদের বসবাস বা বাংলাদেশে। সরি,
No,
20
Anbeshi,
মিলিয়ন না, 15 মিলিয়ন হিন্দু বাংলাদেশে বসবাস করতেছে। এখন ভবিষ্যৎ বলতে আমরা কোথায় যাব? ভারত।
একটু মিনিট জি আমি অনুবাদ করব
হ্যাঁ,
পরে আমি আপনি বলুন. So what he said first is he wants to emphasize that Bangladesh was at one point a Hindu nation. Even up till very recently in the 20th century, Bangladesh was 63% Hindu, 63%. Only now has it dropped down to 7%. অনবেশী বলুন.
তো আমরা কোথায় যাব? আজকে যখনই হিন্দু নির্যাতন শুরু হয়েছে, গত 3রা আগস্ট থেকে হিন্দু নির্যাতন শুরু হয়েছে, আমরা গত 29শে জুলাই থেকে আমরা আপনাদের সাথে যোগাযোগ করতেছি, বিভিন্ন মাধ্যমে যোগাযোগ করতেছি যে আমাদের হিন্দুদের উপরে অ্যাটাক করা হবে। এটা আমাদের গোয়েন্দা তথ্য, আমাদের যে গোয়েন্দা অধিদপ্তরে যারা আমাদের বন্ধুগণ আছেন আমাদেরকে তারা জানাচ্ছেন। কিন্তু যখনই মানে বাংলাদেশে হিন্দু অ্যাটাক শুরু হলো, ভারত তার এম্বাসি বন্ধ করে দিল বা ভারত তার সমস্ত বর্ডার ক্লোজ করে দিল। তাহলে আমরা কোথায় যাব? আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ কি এটা আমরা নিজেরাও জানি না। আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ একটাই হতে পারে যে এখানে যদি আমরা প্রতিরোধ সিস্টেম গড়ে তুলি, আপনাদের মাধ্যমে আমরা যদি সংখ্যালঘুদের নিরাপত্তা সরকারের মাধ্যমে নিশ্চিত করতে পারি, তবেই আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ আমরা নিজেরা গড়তে পারবো।
বুঝেছি, তাই I'll just আমি অনুবাদ করব.
হ্যাঁ,
He asks a very simple question of where will we go? Because here's the reality of the situation. Ever since the torture of Hindus has started, what has, we can't expect anything from, Muslim countries, and, the West is too far away to help immediately, fine. So what is Bharat done? The Indian government closed down its embassy. So Bangladesh Hindus can't go there. They closed down the borders. They increased border security. Bangladesh Hindus can't escape by the border. I'll add in something on my own here very quickly. I've heard reports that Islamists are literally cutting bridges to make sure that Hindus cannot escape. So the question, Sudhaji, right now, that he's saying is that it's not a matter of whether Hindus should escape. It's a matter of whether they can. And right now, they really have no choice but to be able to stand and fight because there's nowhere to go.
So,
Obviously,
Ritesh, I have a
yeah.
question because multiple places I've read now, and maybe I can get the opinion from our guest is that um, it is not just the Hindus who are trying to come to from Bangladesh to Pashchim Bengal or West Bengal, but a lot of Muslims are also trying to come there so that they can spread the violence that is going on in Bangladesh to West Bengal. As you know, there is already a significant number of illegal Bangladeshis who are living in West Bengal. And if you were to open up the borders, then millions more may come in and cause complete destabilization of West Bengal. Because with the people who are already there illegally and people, a large influx of people who are associated with Jamaat and all that, it may create a very untenable position for India. And that is why the borders are being clamped.
Mm.
So,
So, yeah,
I mean, again,
Sudhaji,
I'm sure that our guests cannot answer that question because this is something that is happening. That is that is happening on the Indian side of the border. But here's some
I can answer this. I am from West Bengal only and very close from the border. So,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
fact,
Please go ahead.
so I will to come to your answer. West Bengal has basically become a launch pad for conducting demographic warfare throughout Bharat. Problem
Yeah,
is West Bengal, whether you keep a fence or not, Muslim illegal immigration you cannot stop simply by this because of a lot of reasons like the Indo-Bangla non-lethal treaty and other disastrous policy making. Till this crisis which came, an entire ecosystem has been allowed to build very close to the border. There has been no buffer zone or zone where the BSF can actually detect people who have come in. It is very densely populated close border with the entire ecosystem running on the economy of illegal immigration, and local politicians are fully involved in it. So
Right.
because of that, it's a huge problem. Now border opening is out of the question. If you open border now, the elements who will come will not be the persecuted Muslims or somebody. They will
Right.
either come for economic opportunity or they will come for crime, terrorism, and other things. So this is the big problem. What we can do is that we can demand the no man's land to be a safe zone, maybe 30 kilometers this side, 30 kilometers this side, a safe zone with proper sanitation enough for that, for Hindus who are interested to come here, and then provide them passages towards there with maybe even UN forces going there is fine if they have problem with India. Go provide them passage, bring them, keep them there, the government sign a memorandum that they won't implement the Enemy Properties Act on their lands, because Bangladesh has something called the Enemy Properties Act. That is the biggest reason why they're driving out Hindus. Because Bangladesh, if you drive out a Hindu, you can grab and occupy their land and claim it as your own. Almost literally, till recent time, you could simply do it like that. So that is also a major issue. So you can do that. We can keep it there. The three possible solutions which we are talking, this is one of them. But that is not being done. Basically, the Hindus there are being left to fend for themselves, and it's a very dangerous situation which is going on, because these desperate people are scattered in small pockets with a large number of people who are thirsting for their blood. The mental stress, the desperation at all time, it's draining, especially for children. It's a horrible experience right now.
Uh, Dipti,
So,
you have
bro,
not been able to, you have not asked too many questions. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of jump in.
Deepthi.
Oh, hi. Um, so I am too disturbed to ask a question right now. But I know the answer to this, but just like in other countries, you have some groups that are that are, kind-hearted enough to help the minorities in these kind of situations. Is there any help that Hindus of Bangladesh are getting from anywhere, or is it just a dark situation right now completely?
দাদা, আপনাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করছেন উনি, হিন্দুরা কি কোথাও থেকে সহায়তা পাচ্ছে? আপনাদের মধ্যে এই যে এত উৎপীড়ন অত্যাচার হচ্ছে, এর মধ্যে একটা খুব ছোট অংশ হলেও কি আপনাদের কিছু সাহায্য করছে? যদি করছে, তারা কারা? এবং এই সাহায্যটা আমরা কিভাবে বাড়াতে পারি যাতে আপনাদের ভেতর থেকেও বেশি সাহায্য আসে?
না, এখানে আমরা আমরা বাহিরের থেকে এখন পর্যন্ত আমরা কখনো কোনো সাহায্য আমরা পাইনি। অন্যরা পেয়েছে কিনা আমি বলতে পারবো না। তবে আমার যে অর্গানাইজেশন সবাই সবার ওয়েলফেয়ার সোসাইটি, এটার মাধ্যমে এটা 2021 সালে আমরা প্রতিষ্ঠিত করেছি, এবং এটার মাধ্যমে আমরা প্রায় 3000 প্লাস হিন্দুদেরকে ইতিমধ্যে সাপোর্ট করেছি। যেমন 2021 সালের করোনা মহামারীতে আমরা বিভিন্ন হিন্দু পরিবারকে খাদ্য সহায়তা বিতরণ করেছি। পাশাপাশি 2021 সালের অক্টোবরে যে যে একটা বাংলাদেশে অরাজকতা সৃষ্টি হলো এবং সেখানে যে হিন্দু নির্যাতন হলো, সেখানে রংপুরের পীরগঞ্জ উপজেলায় প্রায় 500টি হিন্দু পরিবারের বাড়ি ঘর সমস্ত কিছু পুড়িয়ে দিয়েছিল। আমরা সেখানে আমাদের হয়তো বা সামর্থ্য অত হয় নাই, তবু আমরা চেষ্টা করেছি আমাদের সামর্থ্যের মাধ্যমে হিন্দুদেরকে বাড়িঘর করে দিয়ে আমরা সেখানে আমাদের সামর্থ্য অনুযায়ী 5টা বাড়ি করে দিতে পেরেছিলাম। পাশাপাশি চাঁদপুরের হাজীগঞ্জেও মানে অনেক হিন্দু বসতি পুড়ে দিয়েছিল, আমরা সেখানেও কিছু সহায়তা করেছি। এভাবে 2022, 23, 24 এসেও আমরা আমাদের নিজেদের ইনকামের টাকায়, মানে আমাদের যা ইনকাম হয় সেখান থেকে কিছু কিছু টাকা নিয়ে, এবং আমাদের যারা বন্ধু বান্ধব আছে তাদের থেকে কিছু কিছু টাকা উত্তোলন করে আমরা সহায়তা করতেছি। আমরা এখন পর্যন্ত কোথাও থেকে কোনো ধরনের সহায়তা পাইনি। আর অন্য কেউ পাইছে কিনা আমি জানি না। যদি পেয়েও থাকে তাহলে আমি সেটা বিতরণ করতে কখনো দেখিনি। কারণ বিভিন্ন সময়ে যখন এই হিন্দুদের প্রতি অত্যাচার হচ্ছে বা হিন্দুদেরকে যখন নির্যাতন হচ্ছে, তখন কোথাও মানে কোনোভাবে আমি দেখিনি যে কোনো একটা সংগঠন বা কোনো একটা অর্গানাইজেশন অথবা কোনো এক এনজিও তাদেরকে সাপোর্ট করছে। এটা আমি কখনো দেখিনি। তবে ব্যক্তি বিশেষ কিছু কিছু লোক সেখানে যে সাপোর্ট করতেছে, এটা আমি দেখছি। তবে আমরা এখন পর্যন্ত কোনো ফরেন ডোনেশনস আমরা পাইনি। বলুন প্লিজ।
Uh,
Rutuj, can you please translate?
I'll
Vladimir জি, আপনি
translate.
Yeah,
কোথায়?
Vladimir, why don't you take this one?
Okay.
He is telling that regarding external aid, no, his organization has not received any external aid. Regarding internal aid, the government has not helped any Hindu NGO in any ways. In fact, it has hindered their activities as much as possible. In fact, he has been told many times that you cannot work exclusively for Hindus and other things. His organization was opened only in 2021, but within months he had to work with over 3,000 Hindu displaced people during the Durga Puja disastrous attacks of 2021. Then 2022 there were other major attacks and he had to work with over 500 families. So these most of these had been done by collecting money from friends and fellows. So they had been able to pull up major projects from their own pocket money. Even now, this disastrous thing which is going on, this anti-Hindu pogrom, here also they are working with their own pocket money. Forget help. No internal organization, NGO, government registered site has even asked them anything. Forget it. They have not even asked whether they're alive or there or not, except the surveillance by those army and death camps and those people, death squads and other people.
And Vladimir ji, I'd like to add on very quickly, just for some context. One of the daitas I have is I serve on the advisory board of Anvesh ji's organization, Shubai Shubar. And so myself and a few others, we've contacted many people asking about fundraising, right? No one has given up till now, right? Before this was an issue in the kind of salient public stream, no one was even talking about how they could help Hindus in Bangladesh. We asked for donations, we asked to be able to help out people because I know Anveshi works day and night on this. This is practically his full-time job at this point. He has his own family troubles alongside all of this that he deals with. Plus, of course, the typical dangers of working as a Hindu in a Muslim country. Anyone that we have asked, no Hindu has been willing to come forward and say, look, I'm willing to donate, say, $100, right? I'm willing to donate $10, by the way, is around 1,000 Bangladeshi takas. No one's been willing to say, I'm willing to donate even $10. People are not willing to donate, and the government, of course, has not made that any easier. They're making it very hard to get funds, but it was mind blowing just to see the apathy the Hindu community had towards Bangladesh. So, what I'd ask is that it is, in a sense, we've let the Bangladeshi Hindus down. It's our apathy that has caused this in the first place. If we had helped them out in the first place, we would have made sure they were strong enough that such a situation would have never happened. So now, let's at least learn from our mistake and let's help out these Bangladeshi Hindu organizations to make sure that what happened today, what happened in 1971, what happened during partition, what happened even before that, that doesn't happen again. That's
Rutuj, that's a really, really good point. Let me ask this question, and you can translate it into
sure.
Bengali.
Yeah.
Does the community that is in Bangladesh right now feel that they are that the chances of the chances of violence against Hindus is going to escalate to the point of genocide and to the 1971 or 1947 level, or they think that this is going to be what it was, a couple of years ago during the uh,
2021.
violence, the violence that took place at the during Durga Puja or after the Durga Puja days. So, what do you think that right now? What is their what is the what is the feeling? What do the Hindus in Bangladesh feel where this is going?
So, অন্বেষী, এত
হ্যাঁ,
নির্যাতন হিন্দু জনের নির্যাতন যে আছে এখন এত আপনি মনে করেন কি 1971 এর বা 1947 এর হিসাবে আছে বা আপনি মনে করেন কি 2021 এর মতো আছে?
এটা দেখেন
I will elucidate it
Please,
a bit. Uh,
1971
he's,
বা
he's, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Good.
On বলুন, yeah.
Anovashi,
বলুন
good. Yeah, Anovashi, good.
দাদা বলুন।
Vladimir ji, if you want to clarify the question, please go ahead if that makes sense.
দাদা উনি জিজ্ঞাসা করছেন যে এই যে মার দাঙ্গা চলছে এটা তো উত্তর বেড়েই চলেছে, তো 1971-এর মতন পরিস্থিতি কি এখানে যেতে পারে, নাকি এটা 2021-এ যেমন হয়েছিল দাঙ্গাটা চরমে পৌঁছে থিতিয়ে যাবে তাড়াতাড়ি? কোনটা আপনার মনে হয়?
Ajay ji, is Anvesh ji there or did he have network issues?
He's there. Oh, wait, he's come back. Hold on. He
Oh,
had
that's
just dropped off and he has come back. So
okay.
now
আমাকে
he's
শুনতে
there. So
পাচ্ছেন?
yeah, can you please repeat the question? Vladimir,
Anvesh ji,
আমাকে
Yes,
শুনতে
sure.
পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ
yeah, please go
হ্যাঁ
ahead.
শুনতে পাচ্ছি দাদা। ওনারা একটা প্রশ্ন করেছেন, ওনারা
আমি
জানতে
শুনেছি,
চাইছেন যে হ্যাঁ
আমি
বলুন, ঠিক আছে।
শুনেছি। আমাকে কি সুন্দর শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ যাচ্ছে, উত্তর দিন দাদা।
ওকে ওকে।
বলুন।
বর্তমান যে সিচুয়েশনটা তৈরি হয়েছে, যে 1971 সালে যেটা হয়েছিল, যে ওরা দেশ মুক্তিযুদ্ধ পাকিস্তানের সাথে, তখন আহ, হিন্দুদেরকে হত্যা করা হয়েছে এবং তখন দেখা গেছে যে আপনার হিন্দুদেরকে এই দেশ থেকে বিতাড়িত করা হয়েছে এবং তাদেরকে ধরে ধরে মারছে। তখন হিন্দুদের জনসংখ্যা ছিল 30%। এরপরে 1990-তে যেটা হয়েছে সেটাও মানে সেটা একটা একটা জায়গা জুড়ে হয়েছিল, সারা বাংলাদেশ জুড়ে হয় নাই, সেটা একটা জায়গায় স্থগিত ছিল। এরপরে 2021-এ যেটা হলো সেটা, তখন আওয়ামী লীগ সরকার ক্ষমতায় ছিল, তারা বিভিন্নভাবে র্যাব, পুলিশ, প্রশাসন দিয়ে তারা ওই ঘটনাটাকে তারা যেভাবে হোক আহ, আহ, নিয়ন্ত্রণ করেছে। কিন্তু আজকের বা এই সময়ের যে ঘটনাটা, বর্তমান যে সময়ের যে ঘটনাটা, এটা টোটালি আউট অফ কন্ট্রোল। এখানে সেনাবাহিনী আমাদেরকে সহায়তা করছে না, এখানে পুলিশ প্রশাসন আমাদেরকে সহায়তা করছে না। তাদের মানে একদম ক্লিয়ারলি স্লোগান দিতেছে আল্লাহু আকবর, এবং আমাদেরকে বলতেছে ভারতের দালাল, আমাদেরকে বলতেছে মুশরিক, আমাদেরকে বলতেছে কাফের, আমাদেরকে এই দেশ ছাড়ার জন্য তারা আমাদেরকে বল প্রয়োগ করে চাপ দিচ্ছে। এবং শুধু এটাই নয়, আমাদেরকে চাপ দিচ্ছে এটাই নয়, তারা বিভিন্ন হিন্দু বাড়িতে ঢুকে এখানকার যারা হিন্দু আছে তাদেরকে
Anvesh ji, আমি ভাষান্তর করব। Just to explain
সুতরাং
what
আমি
he
মনে
said,
করি যে
he
এই
mentioned that
আমাদের সিচুয়েশন দিন বাই দিন এটা খারাপের দিকে যাচ্ছে। এটা আমি মনে করি না যে এটা 2021-এর মতো হবে, এর থেকেও ভয়ানক হবে। কারণ আমরা যদি এখন তো আমাদেরকে কেউ সহায়তা করছে না, এখন তো আওয়ামী লীগের সরকার নাই, এখন তো শেখ হাসিনা নাই, আমাদের সে ভরসা স্থল তো এখন আর নাই। এখানে আমাদের কেউ সহায়তা করার নাই। এখানে আর্মি, বিজিবি, আইন শান্তি রক্ষাকারী বাহিনী, তারা আমাদের বিপক্ষে চলে গেছে। আমি আজকে অনেক জায়গায় ফোন দিয়েছি।
Anvesh ji,
অনেক
এক মিনিট আমি ভাষান্তর করব, তারপরে আপনি বলুন। What
জি
he said is that in the first attack, right, in 1947, Hindu population dropped from 63% to 30. That was horrific. What made 2021 different from all of these attacks is that in 2021, Sheikh Hasina was there. Was Sheikh Hasina the most pro-Hindu person? No. But during that time, the military was helping supervise the Durga Puja processions. They were making sure that anyone who targeted Hindus would be arrested. They were making sure that even though attacks were happening, that they were at least somewhat kept under control. Here's the problem. Now, one, Sheikh Hasina isn't there. Sheikh Hasina's gone. So that last layer of sanity that was there in the Bangladeshi government, which by the way is a very low standard of sanity right now, that is gone. Two, the military is not there to help them anymore. Last time the military was guarding processions. This time there's no military guarding mandirs. There's a handful of Muslims that I've seen fine, but they're very few and far between that have come out to help. Third, and this is what's most shocking, he mentioned, the military is joining in on the side of the protester. When Hindus call in, what are they called? They're called Bharatiya Dalal. They're called Indian agents. They're called kafirs. Slurs are thrown at them instead of help. In other words, this situation is completely out of control, and it could be just as bad as 1971, if not worse. কিন্তু অন্বেষ জি, বলুন।
সুতরাং আমাদের এই মানে অবস্থা, আমি মনে করি না যে 2021-এর মতো হবে। আমাদের অবস্থা আরো খারাপ হবে, এবং আমরা যদি এখনই কোনো প্রতিরোধ সিস্টেম করতে না পারি, প্রতিরোধ সিস্টেম গড়ে তুলতে না পারি, তাহলে এই দেশের হিন্দুদের আমাদের ভারত ভারত যাওয়া লাগবে না, আমাদেরকে এই দেশেই মানে জীবন্ত কবর দেওয়া হবে, নতুবা আমাদের
Okay. Rutish, can you please translate?
Sure. What he mentioned very briefly. Is he still there or is he?
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay. অন্বেষী আপনি ঠিক আছেন? What he
I'm
said.
not sure there's internet connection issues, but go ahead, please translate.
What at least he said so far is that, look, they can't go to Bharat. The situation day by day is just getting worse and worse. And so because of that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The situation is getting worse by worse day by day. They can't go to Bharat, and really it's just getting terrible. Vladimir, if you want to add in your thoughts as well, please feel free to go ahead.
More than that, this desperation he shows, and the thing is that what they're telling, he told the last word, we will be buried alive, and then his voice choked off. Rest part, it's a very popular Bengali proverb, but I want to avoid it. The thing is that these kind of tortures, horrible atrocities which people are fearing, this is not out of something extravagance or something. These people, their ancestors, they have seen it year after year. If they almost, you will be hard pressed to find a 3-year stretch where there has been no violence on Hindus in Bangladesh. And violence mean, I don't mean the random low level attacks and killings. I mean mass targeted attacks. So in this kind of situation, that is from where they are coming. So I guess Dada explained the rest of the part well enough.
Vladimir
I just
ji,
want to.
sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, Deepthi, go.
It's a rhetoric question, but these atrocities have been happening on Hindus in Bangladesh for over 75 years. I say we, as in Hindus, we were never prepared to fight back, or we were never in a situation to fight back. When all the Muslims or Islamists can try to get into India over all these past years, why didn't Hindus try to get out from there? Like, it was, what is happening right now was inevident. It is going to happen inevitably in other countries as well. But what is the reason that Hindus did not try to get out of there when they could?
Actually, to say that Hindus did not try to get out, this has two aspects. One is a large portion of Hindus still do not want to get out, even now in Bangladesh. Why is it? We have to understand that Bangladesh is our cultural heritage land. The Bongo Bhumi, which we call, is actually Bangladesh. And we have Chandranath Dham of Mahadev. We have Dhakeshwari Mandir, Shakti Peeth. Chatteshwari Mandir, another Shakti Peeth. Chatteshwari Mandir was attacked, by the way, this time. Chandranath Mandir was attacked just a few months ago. So I would like to say just one thing. In Bengali, among Bengalis, we have a very proud feeling that if you give up the land, you become very rich, you can buy another land. But you can not buy your ancestors, nor you can buy your history. If we lose that land, no matter how prosperous we become, no matter how big an empire we make maybe in future, we will never have our Mahadev Dham, Chandranath Dham again. We will never have Chatteshwari Mata or Dhakeshwari Mata again. So this thing, for most of us, and that includes me, it is more important than even survival. So that is a major reason why major part of Hindus did not go.
So I
Second
actually,
thing,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Please finish your thought. Yeah.
another thing is that people who left, they left under extreme duress. Even the millions of people who left, around 75 million conservative estimates, they left under extreme duress. And third thing, it is wrong that Hindus did not fight back. In 1949, Namashudros, they call no social justice, Namashudros and Brahmins, including my family. They fought together against tanks, against military, against Ansar. The entire military was unleashed against civilians for days, non-stop. There was no difference. Even wars, there are some rules, but this time there was nothing. So people fought against that and held that for years. The 1949, the bloodshed which I told, it took 2 years to do that. That much resistance people put up. Same thing in 57, same thing in 64. 71 Mukti Jodha, same thing they put up. How people continue to put up, even now in the current violence, under this condition, Hindus have managed to save 4 or 5 temples. They have managed to drive them off also of 4 or 5 villages. So fighting has been going on. People have been resisting as much as they can. It's not even under this kind of desperate situation. That is the reason why they are not allowing Hindus to concentrate. Because even now in this number, if they are allowed to concentrate, they can impose a disproportionate kind of damage to these goons, thugs, criminals. So that is also a mindset. It's the Bengali mindset that giving up land is considered to be not fitting of a family head or a man. So any family which has a man or a person, it's very unlikely that they will give up their land under this situation. It's not just in our culture.
I think that's a really good point,
Thank
right?
you.
And with all due respect, Ditiji, I
Thank you.
think you know. Look at the percentage of non-Hindus, especially Muslims in India. We are not asked, nobody in the right mind is saying that, hey, they, they all drop everything and leave. Why should Hindus leave for in their ancestral land? I mean, they've been there for thousands of years. They're native, and they should be able to live and not just survive but live, prosper, and not just live but live with dignity and prosper in the land that has been theirs for 10,000 years. Why would we expect, instead of us going and protecting them, providing tools so that they can protect themselves, why would we even expect the Hindus there escape? Because see what we have already seen the effect of Hindus, what has happened to Hindus in, for example, Pakistan, Hindus in Afghanistan. How for how many more centuries, how many more decades or centuries are Hindus going to just escape and run instead of stay and fight?
You know that I mean I'm 100% with you on that question, Ajiji. But when they were 27% of Hindus in Bangladesh, they could fight back. Now we are looking at 6% left. And you look at the other side and knowing what is coming for you. You say that the Hindus in Pakistan and Bangladesh are the real Hindus who have managed to keep their religion and their dharma for so many years, and after facing what they face on a daily basis, they are the real Hindus. They are the ones who are the protector of our dharma. So hats off to everyone who's doing this. Vladimir ji, this is one question I have about the girls and the women. The worst, like killing, dying is an easier side than what girls and women go through in these kind of scenarios, with gang rapes and all the different kind of tortures that we keep hearing that are coming out of the news from Bangladesh. Um, can you share any thoughts and more information on that?
Yeah. Do you mind if I start to provide a bit of context? Because torture of girls is not just the rape. That starts right from the day she is forced to sit in an Islamized institution. How she is being tortured mentally, how she is being stripped down of her very identity, that also forms an important part. So can I include that if I have your permission?
Yes, please.
Please.
So first thing is that political Islam has been merged with a weird sense of xenophobia and social Islam in Bangladesh. The very language, the culture, the Bengali textbooks, everything has been changed. And a weird system of brainwashing has been made. The madrasa education system has been made so cheap and the other educational systems not patronized and even made to, every effort has been made that they die out, such that even if you are Hindu, 70% of you cannot afford that conventional education. Then Sheikh Hasina last blow when she took with madrasa institutions. So when she started appeasing the Muslimas and instituted almost a madrasa type, very normal education. What they teach is that the Hindus are forcibly taught that Islam is the only true religion, not the true religion, only true religion. And then lots of kind of horrible against our culture values like ancestor worship, name worship, tolerance for other faiths. These values are systematically attacked every day throughout their education system. Second thing, there has been institutionalization of abusing a woman or raping a woman as eating lunch. এই মহিলাকে খাবো, this kind of language has been going out from WhatsApp groups and into the streets. So rape is just one thing. A woman, Hindu woman, it now it is becoming with this. It is hard pressed for them to even keep their shakha and shidur, that is the vermilion and bangles, because they will hear these kind of comments publicly. Ganimate mal means goods to be used. These are being hurled, and these has been hurled for over a decade from Sheikh Hasina's time. So although Sheikh Hasina has done some things, but it was never very easy for Hindus there. So abusing, objectification of Hindu women, this has been ingrained in the education system of Bangladesh. So every year there are lakhs of students coming out who are seeing them as objects to be used, and that is in a polite way to use. So that is the root cause of all these rapes and other things coming out. Now Bangladesh, yes, Taslima Nasrim in Lajja, what she wrote, she didn't even write 10% of it. Forget rapes. Keeping women for days, doing unnatural amounts of physical activities, types of it, tortures. These kind of things have been often used and weaponized. And now with social media, these are also circulated to intimidate people. So these kind of things are going on, trying to trap them into relationships, abusive relationships. And Bangladesh, the biggest problem, if a woman gets raped or molested, eve teasing and molestation in the village parts, this has become natural culture. Why? Because even if you rape a woman in a village, if you go for it, 99.99% cases your FIR won't be written. They just will tell you to get out. They will tell you, we won't file your complaint, you're a Hindu. That words you will hear. Even if you manage to file an FIR, the family who has committed the crime or the guy and the police will pressurize you to marry him and convert and solve the issue. If you don't do it, the entire Muslim population of village will start threatening your father, parents, relatives with death and other things. Even if you don't listen to it, you have to be extremely careful and travel in large groups, preferably with some armed people in the remote villages, particularly of northern Bangladesh. If you don't do that, what happens? You simply disappear. So this is the situation. This was there before rape. Rape, what you see, is just the culmination, it's the final blow. The lifetime is as tough, if not more difficult than that activity. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you. So I want to thank our guests. Are there any final comments? Because we are towards the end of our time. We're actually a little bit over, but that's okay. It was I really this. If anyone who listens to this discussion, especially listen to our two guests, um, and Avunesh ji, we really admire your courage. You're speaking from Bangladesh. Um, Anyone who listens to this, I mean, and if it doesn't melt their hearts, and if it doesn't impact them at an emotional level, I think there's something wrong with that. Um, Hindus have been taking this kind of uh, abuse in countries where there are minorities, especially in the countries in the Indian subcontinent, whether it's Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and this has to stop. And how we, what kind of pressure, what kind of uh, advocacy we build in America to stop the persecution of Hindus around the world, and especially in Indian subcontinent, is up to all the people who are on this call, who are Hindu activists, who are Hindu advocates. And I would urge you guys to give some thought to this, and maybe express some of those thoughts in this final comments that you may have. So let me start with Rutvij, then go to Dipti, and then finally to Sudha to close out. So
I mean,
Rutvij.
I really am speechless in many ways. This is so shocking to hear, but at the same time, not surprising, right? I mean, this has been the same playbook that has been used since the Umayyad Caliphate invaded in the 800s AD. Since then, since Bakhtiyar Khilji, since the Mughals, since what's happened in partition, since October 7th in Israel, to what is happening today, the playbook is the same. They'll dehumanize a woman. They'll destroy our temples, the one place we can count out for shelter, and they'll tell us, like they did in Kashmir, Ralif, Galif, Chalif, right? Convert, leave or die. And they'll also say, we want your we want your men to go, we want your women to stay. The one thing that's also common in all of these is that by and large, the vast majority of Hindus stay silent. They'll say, okay, this is the Bangladesh issue, it's not our issue. This is a Kashmir issue, it's not our issue. This is an issue in this place, that's not my place, I don't care. But unless we do deal with it now, it's a cancer that'll keep spreading. It's happened throughout parts of Bharat. They took Afghanistan, they took Pakistan. Now they're taking Bangladesh even more. It's going to spread to northeast. It'll go down south to Kerala. It'll come up through. It'll come to my place in Maharashtra. At some point, we simply will not have a place to call home. So what that means is we have to start fighting now. We have to talk with our congressmen, talk with our MPs, our MLAs, and tell them, send observers to Bangladesh, make sure the minorities are safe. We know for the fact that if they run away, it's a death in another way, right? Fine, this is the physical death. But when they go away, it's the death of civilization. Look at the Afghani Hindu that escaped. There's civilization in them. Or look at the Kashmiri Hindu that left. Their civilization, they tell me, is dying. The Bengali Hindus will suffer the same fate unless they stand and fight. And it is our duty to help them do that. That way we don't have it happen to ourselves. Dhanyavad and namaste.
Dipti.
Thank you so much for sharing your the news and information and your thoughts today with us, Vladimir ji and Anivesh ji. Really appreciate it. My heart breaks just listening to these things, and like Ruthit was saying, this is not surprising, but it is very disturbing when you hear these things happening and firsthand. We are witnessing a genocide right now, and we talk about Rwanda or um, Holocaust and all these things that have happened in the past, and we question why didn't anybody and why did the world did not do anything and they kept watching. We are watching this genocide right now, and something needs to be done. This is going to hit home, like not just India, it is hitting home in so many other countries, and it is going to hit us wherever we are at some point of time, because this mindset is not bound to a location. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Dipti ji. Sudha.
Hey, thank you, Vladimir ji and Anvesh ji, for joining. I think, Ajay, we need to do more of this because we have barely touched upon what is going on, and I think we need to keep the light shining on what is happening and make sure the world pays attention. Like all Rutvij and Deepthi said. We have to have a sense of the universal, the global Hindu community. I don't think we have that. I mean, we feel for them. We feel for Hindus in Pakistan, Hindus in Afghanistan, Hindus in Bangladesh. But we have to make that thinking into a positive action. And right now, for immediate needs, Rutvij, I'd like you to kind of work with Vladimir ji and Anvesh ji to see help uh, Anvesh ji, right? I mean, I think we are converting to, I mean, we are sending money to organizations that supposedly work on the ground in Bangladesh. But if Anvesh ji in a remote village is not getting help, I want to know how we can help him. So that is one thing. The other thing is that if we don't help our fellow Hindus, remember, we are facing all of this in the United States. There will be no place that's left for Hindu, not even the United States, United Kingdom, Australia. Of course, we all have great lives here, but we are being painted as oppressors and abusers, whereas we are the victims. We don't tell our stories enough, and that cannot continue. We need to reach out, tell our stories in public here. And Ajay ji, let's clip Vladimir and Anveshji's talking points and put it out there in social media. You know that those were powerful words, and we need to keep that happening on social media so more and more people hear it for reality. Already there's a lot of pushback on social media. They're taking out, shutting down accounts that are bringing the truth. We need to push back on that too. Truth needs to stand on its own, and we need to hold our nation, the United States, accountable to stand for human rights that we all talk about and not turn a blind eye. So, finally, I want to say to Vladimir ji and Anveshi, may Durga Devi protect you.
On that note, I want to thank everyone for joining. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact, Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. It is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. We thank all our guests, especially, I want to just say, Avneshi, it takes a lot of courage in the situation that you are in for you to come and join us. We cannot thank you enough. And Vladimirji, you have been really eloquent and very articulate speaker for the Hindu cause. I thank you both profusely. Thank you for joining, and we will see you again. All the regular, Sudha will see you again in the next show. And Rutvij and Dipti, thank you very, very much for making this a very productive conversation. Thank you again, and namaste.